Hey folks, Steve here with a special unboxing video for you today. We have No Peace Without Honor, the Dutch War, 1672 to 1678. Louis XIV's First European War, a game using the No Peace Without Spain system. I think we'll just call it No Peace Without Honor. This is designed by David Meyler, based on the No Peace Without Spain system. That is in a couple other games. We'll talk about that in a second. This is published by Compass Games, and this just came in the mail today. Brand new. I think they're still looking to wrap up the Kickstarter to help fund the production of this. So I was not expecting to get this for a little bit. I don't know if this is just one of the first shipments that went out, but sure enough, I got it, and we're gonna unbox it and show the contents. Now, I want to say there's a couple of reasons why I was pretty keen on getting this. I have generally enjoyed the No Peace Without Spain system, primarily in the game called No Peace Without Spain, a game on the War of Spanish Succession. It's a pretty fun, light, card-driven war game. I generally like it for what it is. It is not super complicated. But there are still tough decisions to be made in the system, and I suspect that that will carry over into this game as well. One of the highlights of this game in particular is that it allows you to take the results of this and continue on into the next game that exists chronologically in this system, and then finally into No Peace Without Spain for sort of a combined three-game grand campaign. Now, that campaign connection is not like super duper in depth. It's very much a, who won game one? How does that influence game two? With a few changes, nothing seismic in shift, but I could definitely see, playing each game back to back to kind of see how things evolve. And if you're playing the Bourbon player and you're basically playing Louis XIV, you get to go through a lot of the major wars that he experienced in his tenure as king, as the Sun King. So the games that this connects with, just to kind of show that chronologically, not order of release, mind you, there is 9 years, the War of the Grand Alliance, a game using the No Peace Without Spain system. This was released some years back. I don't think this has gotten reprinted as far as I know. Maybe it has. So like this copy, I think, is a first edition. It's got a paper map. This covers 1688 to 1697. So it's a bit, just a little bit later, right? It sort of, picks up 10 years after No Peace Without Honor, basically, right? If you look at the dates there. So this is sort of the next game that this would connect with. And then finally, you have No Peace Without Spain proper, this being the deluxe edition, the latest one from Compass. And in this particular edition, there's a mounted map, pre-rounded counters, a much nicer product than the original version, which I also had, and I ended up upgrading to this. So I do like the game. I do like the system, so maybe that's going to be a little bit of bias here as I look at this game. But basically, you could string them all together and enjoy them as one kind of longer campaign game. Each one of these games doesn't take super long to play, I should say. I might even say on here how long it takes to play. 2.5 hours, so nothing too crazy. You could easily, in a solid gaming day, probably work your way through all three games together. The rules are similar enough. You can probably, very quickly swap between them. I'm going to give you a look of the back of the box here. There's the basic stats, recommended age, playing time, solitaire suitability. Because the cards in this game are really just op point cards, it makes it a little bit easier to solitaire. There's not as much like event stuff that kind of sits on you to make a determination of. You can see that there. Content should be a mounted map, some rounded counters, a deck of 50 playing cards, rules and scenario book, 3-player aid cards, 10 6-sided dice, box and lid set, and then I'm going to be fighting with the glare a little bit in my camera stand. You guys can read the back of that. Nothing too crazy there. So we'll get the shrink ripped off here and take a quick look at the inside. The combat in this game generally follows like a hit on 5s and 6s kind of thing. So the more units you have, it's sort of firepower based. I'll just show the box is pretty sturdy, thicker than some boxes have come from Compass. There's a few other games that have this slightly more thicker box type. There's a texture to the lid as well, which just makes it a little sturdier, a little nicer. Should call that out. So here are your cards. So there are the ops cards. So when you're playing the game, you get a hand of cards. They're going to have numbers on them that are going to range from 1 to 3. That basically, when you play that card, that's how many operation points you have to do stuff. So it's a little, some people don't like it, that it's a little less flavorful than like every single card having an event. I think this keeps the game moving more quickly, and I don't know, it just seems to work fine. Would be more events be cool? Sure. There are event cards, but they're treated separately. So you'll basically draw event cards on a certain cadence, and they have either a happens immediately effect, or it's a like you hold on to the card and you can play it at a certain time to affect the game. And these are a little bit more global effect events or specialized circumstances, but you only have so many of them, and you're only really playing so many even in a given turn. So the game is not dominated by events like maybe some other card-driven games are, but they are an important element, and they are something that you want to look at and account when playing the game. So I may open up this just to show you guys, because it looks like the plastic around the cards is going to be really easy to come apart, and I do appreciate that from Compass, that their cards tend to be easy to get out of the box. Just to show you what that looks like. So so here are your action cards again. It's like there's some artwork, but it's really just the numbers. You get these shuffled up, 1s, 2s, or 3s, and then these are the actual event cards. So you can see English fleet sails. We activate the secret alliance with France. So in this game, the English and the French are aligned and threaten the Dutch from sea. So the Bourbons gain control of the Atlantic Sea Zone. This is in effect until the Dutch Naval Victories card is played. And in all cases, Brandenburg becomes neutral. You remove a leader and some corps, because they go to neutrality, decrease or increase Dutch war weariness by 1. So this is the kind of stuff, it's like red, it just happens. I believe that the black border means that you hold until play. So you got your bad weather stuff. This is stuff we've seen in other war games. Traitor. So you can kind of see the way that works. There's the Dutch naval victories. There's only so many of these, right? Like these are all the event cards, but you only get so many, and you can only hold in your hand a relatively small number of these. So just want to make sure you guys could see that, so you could get a sense of the level of event interaction there is. Here's our dice. That is a very interesting tan orange color of die. I'm gonna assume that aligns with the Bourbons in this game series are always blue, blue counters or blue colors, and then the opposite side, whether it's alliance, pragmatic alliance, whatever, tends to be this sort of tan, pink, orange color, which is the color of the die. So they went out of their way to try to make that match. That's interesting. We get some baggies. That's good. There is an errata sheet printed on glossy paper, which is interesting. So what do we got? Okay, so they reference, they must reference a rules section, and they got the number wrong in the reference, so that's basically that's barely errata. Okay, just clarifying that Frederick Wilhelm and the Two Empire Corps, this is the Brandenburg Force. I think we just read a card about that, so I'm kind of not surprised by that. So I'm there. Maybe that's just a clarification more than an errata. That's really more of a clarification than errata. That's really more of a clarification than errata, probably, unless they're really missing something in the section, but they're referencing more rules, so that seems like a clarification. Okay, so the turn track, the Bourbon initiative line, should extend over 1769. So that's going to be one real bit of errata over 1760. That can't be right. Not 1769. Okay, so there's something goofy here. I assume that is a transposition error, and that is meant to say 1679 or something. I don't know. So watch out for this one, guys. There's something goofy there. That doesn't make sense to me. And then Charles, or Carl V, Duke of Lorraine, nephew, not son, of Charles IV, created General Field Marshal of the Imperial Army in 1676. So somewhere there's some correction related to that. Maybe they reference him as the son and it's supposed to be nephew. Okay, well, that's not so bad. That's not so bad in terms of what they have given us. So here is, I believe this is going to be the rule book, and yes, the rule book. So this is glossy. Now, at times I don't always like glossy rule books. I like more of, matte, dry paper in case I need to make notes or something. But it is nice, glossy color, 2-column format, colorful pictures all throughout. You can see that sort of pink, orange, tan color I was referencing. Kind of calling out all the different factions. Now, for me, I know the rules already pretty well. These aren't terribly complicated rule sets, but they do a good job here of kind of showing you with a lot of picture examples of what they're talking about, which I think is very valuable. This is a big improvement over, I think back to the original rule book for No Peace Without Spain, which was black and white, very little in terms of pictures. They definitely kind of gone forward with much higher quality for these rule books, especially for the deluxe reprint of No Peace Without Spain. So this is sort of following in the same vein, that the production values are much higher. You can see hitting all the rules. I don't feel like there's a need to really dwell too much on this, but you can see there's a lot of good examples of how the different game systems work, which I think is always good to see. Yeah, nice examples, very good. Nice, like half-page examples. That's always very useful. So nothing too crazy there. You can start to see, here's some of the scenario information. Kind of talking through the campaign game, connects No Peace Without Honor to 9 years and War Without, No Peace Without Spain, rather. So War of the Reunions and how everything kind of comes together. And some information on leaders. Oh, I see. So this is where that, this is probably where that piece of errata is. Yeah. He was succeeded by his son, blah, 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 yeah. Designer's notes, which is always good, always a fun read. And I've already read the designer notes because they made this rulebook available on PDF on the Kickstarter page, and I read them because I love designer notes. So that's all looking really good. We have a multi-turn event sheet, so it sort of helps keep track of which cards have been played. So if you played English fleet sails, you would place the card on this. This would sit next to the map somewhere, just to kind of help keep track. We have the player aids. I always like the player aids for this system because they tend to be really complete. So it's got all the pertinent tables. There's a fair number of tables in this game, but they're really straightforward to use, in my opinion. So basically, exactly what I expect out of the player aid sheets, that they're complete, they're nicely formatted, there's some color and pop to them, they have the artwork in the background. Some people can find that distracting, but I think it's done well enough here that it just looks nice. We get 2 copies of that, which is good. And then we have what looks like 2 counter sheets. These are the pre-rounded counters. So we have plenty of control markers. There are counters for sort of army holding boxes. Floods. There's floods in this game. Interesting. It looks like there's several other things. I don't quite know the context for these, so I'll plead ignorance here a little bit. And then all the different factions and leaders. The backs look about what I would expect them to be. And everything looks good. No misalignments that I can see. Everything looking good there. Second sheet, similar case. One thing I am glad to see, because I had noticed in the No Peace Without Spain deluxe reprint and some of the other ones where like some of the counter sheet isn't being used for anything. Like it's like almost wasted counter space, and that is always frustrating to see because you could always add more control markers or add more, I don't know, fortified line markers or something. It looks like in this game across the two counter sheets they use every bit of the cardboard to get these nice pre-rounded counters. You can see there's all kinds of good stuff here. So that's good to see. Not seeing any alignment problems. Backs all look pretty good. You know, it's still early. You know, who else but me got their copy? Probably not many people yet, or we're all getting them around the same time. I can't imagine folks have very clearly identified other errata that matters here, but we'll see. And then here's the map. It is the best quality mounted map where it's like it's not super duper thick. It's but it's still there. It's kind of got a nice texture on the back of it. Not that that really matters for anything, but yeah. So what I want to do, I do want to unfold this a little bit because I want to look at the turn track and see the errata that was mentioned. And okay, I wonder if this is it. So what you have here is the initiative track. This is Bourbon Initiative. And if I look at the sheet of paper again, just to confirm this, the turn track, the Bourbon Initiative line should extend over, well, yeah, I'm sure that is supposed to say 1679. So this blue line should go a little bit farther. But the sheet of paper says 1769. So you have errata for your errata, guys. I don't know. That's a small mistake. Everything else looks okay. You can start to see, I don't want to undo the entire map just because I don't have a good space for it. But you can see the countries and the markers here, the forts. Anything without a number is a level 1 fort. One with a number is, you know, a level 2 fort in case of this space in Ireland. And then they kind of have it, and I appreciate this, that like Britain is on the map, but not in a historical placement. Like they're saying, yes, Britain is here, and for map purposes, we're going to stick it over here just so it all fits on the map real cleanly. And they kind of have this rectangular outcut, so you kind of understand what they're trying to do. You know, I appreciate that. That it's a nice compromise because you can't just have the map. You want the complete set of spaces, but you don't want to have the map be weird shaped just to accommodate that. So I like that. I think that's a good way to show things. And then here's like, this is going to be the main front of a lot of these battles, is the, you know, the Low Countries in France. And you can see there's a lot of spaces kind of clustered near each other. There's a lot of fighting usually done in these spaces all around here. So everything looking good here, guys. I like what I'm seeing here. I think it would be a lot of fun to do a full campaign, either played opposed or solitaire, because in my mind I can probably solitaire this just fine, because I mean I have my own way that I think I would do it, which is basically almost like a mini version of Stuka Joe's solo. Like each side has their hand action cards. I would just have it shuffled up, placed face down, and when it's that faction's turn to go, they just flip the top card. So, okay, we only get to do a 1 right now. So it randomizes it. The decision space is a little more constrained anyway. So I think you can easily solitaire the game just using that. Take the hand of cards, shuffle them, do it, whatever. And then the event cards, you know, you just use your best judgment to play the event cards when it makes sense. And I think you could very easily handle doing solitaire that way. So I'm going to probably put these cards in a card. I have a whole bunch of card boxes that I have that are just plain white, and I stick my cards in there. I'll probably do that here as I wrap up the video offline. Get these dice flattened out a little bit better. And yeah, there you go, guys. No Peace Without Honor, the latest game in the No Peace Without Spain system. Again, a lighter weight CDG that still has plenty of flavor, is fun. There's a lot of interesting mechanics in terms of just how sieges work, where you're really, it's like a time management thing of, where are you focusing your effort, or are you taking too long with your siege, that kind of stuff. Battles can be very decisive, so you're always very careful about when you commit to the big battle. Retreating before combat is sometimes very easy, so it's like you're really trying to play chicken with your opponent, who wants to have the real fight and what's going to happen with it. It's cool stuff. And if you are very interested in my overall thoughts, I wrote a text review for No Peace Without Spain a long time ago. Much of what I said there is still relevant to today and relevant to this system. I'll see if I can find a link and put that in the description down below, so you can read that review and kind of get a sense. I suspect much of this game will be very, very similar to that. And again, the possibility of a grand campaign is very neat, that we can have this between the three games. There is technically a fourth game in this system, which is a pragmatic war, which covers the War of Austrian Succession. It does not connect with these other games, but that's another one that you can look at and check out. I did an unboxing video for that way back. So there you go, guys. I hope you like this. I hope you got a good look at this game. It is on its way to probably folks who pre-ordered like I did, and the Kickstarters, and will be available from Compass generally here very soon, or you can put the orders in now, I guess. So there you go, guys. Hope this was good for you. Let me know your comments and thoughts down below in the comment section. Otherwise, take care, keep gaming. We'll see you in the next one.